So the big question is this: how are real estate investors who don't have a ton of free time, don't have access to off-market deals, and didn't start life on third base, how do we grow a real estate business conservatively to support our families, finally leave the corporate rat race and build a legacy? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. This is the Real Estate Underground podcast show, number 6. Hey everybody, Ed Matthews here at Real Estate Underground. I am really excited. We have Paul Finck coming to our monthly meetings here at CTREIA on January 17th and 18th. And he has been kind enough to do a Saturday workshop with us on the 22nd as well. So Paul, once again, great to see you. We're excited to have you, and thanks for your time today.
It is so exciting to be here, Ed, and very excited about our upcoming events and all of the above to see everybody. It's great to be live and excited for the new year. So this will kick everything off so well with everybody.
And I can't imagine a better way to start the year than with you. So our members are grateful, and I'm fired up to see you again. So Paul, for those of you who are in our audience that don't know your background story, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to be who you are?
I certainly will. Once again, I am Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and I'm called Millionaire because, well, I create money and create abundance in my life and yours. And I'm called Maverick because, well, I do it a little bit different than most people. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about at the event is we're going to be talking about negotiations and how to do that a little bit different. However, my background is I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years. I've never worked for anybody a day in my life, which basically means that I've created my value every step of the way. I've been paid my value every step of the way. That's how I've lived my life. And for many years, that was about a 6-figure income, was very satisfied. Had built up businesses in multiple different industries, the medical field, the dental field. I cut my teeth cold calling in Midtown Manhattan and was really good at creating opportunity, creating systems and strategies, and for lack of a better word, sales. Started off straight commission sales, then went into owning my own distribution companies, building sales forces, and continued that in multiple different industries, like I said, and went into then real estate about 20 years ago. And about 15 years ago, became a speaker, trainer, coach. And I now travel all around the world in helping people understand how to build abundance with the vehicle of real estate as well as other business ventures.
Yeah, so you've presented at CTREIA several times in the past, and this time we're focused keenly on, and you mentioned it, negotiation mastery. You want to tell us a little bit about that and why that's so special?
Man, everything we do in life is negotiations across the board. We decide and negotiate, oh, honey, where are we going for breakfast? Or where are we going to get our cup of coffee? And negotiating our trip to work, if you will, and what roads and how to navigate around, only to be clear, with verbal as well as nonverbal cues, we communicate with others to get what we're looking to acquire in our world, to attract the either abundance or lack thereof in our life. In real estate, what really excited me about real estate is that, well, there's umpteen different items that you can negotiate on. That real estate isn't just about the price tag, if you will. It's not about, you've got one price and we're going to negotiate on that price. And that's the only thing that really happens in a real estate transaction. It's so much more. And when I learned what terms and conditions were, when I learned about financing and understanding all the different components of financing a deal properly and effectively, and realize that each one of those are negotiation tactics or components, if you will, that can change the game. And when you learn about those different components, when you learn how to operate within them, you can create thousands, if not tens of thousands, and in a lot of deals, especially in the Northeast, even hundreds of thousands of dollars difference. Once you learn how to negotiate on those terms, once you learn what that is all about, and realize that it's not about price. I can offer someone their list price, the exact price that they're looking for, and still have huge opportunity in a deal because of the negotiation tactics I utilize in all the rest of the terms. And that's really key. And that's what we're going to be talking about during our meetings, as well as the Saturday meeting, just to really dig deep into all the components of that.
You're an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, right? And so you've had a lot of different successes in a lot of different industries. What drew you to real estate? Why real estate as a focus?
Oh my gosh. Well, here I was an entrepreneur for 15 going on 20 years. And I was doing fairly well. When you graduate from college, at least my vision was, oh man, if only I could make six figures, if only I could make $100,000, I'd be king of the mountain, right? I'd be the dog. Well, that's what I did. I graduated from college, created my own business, created about $100,000 in income, and then sustained there for about a decade. Then I had an interesting event or events that happened in my life. I got married and had 6 children, 3 sets of twins. The last 2 sets of twins are 14 months apart from one another, which means I went from a family of 4, my wife and I and 2 children, to a family of 6 or a family of 8 in 14 months.
Wow.
My whole financial makeup went completely upside down.
Right.
Now, for those of you that may not realize, I live in the Northeast as well. I live in Connecticut. It's where I got started. I actually got started in real estate investing 20 years ago, going to CTREIA as a student and as a participant and attendee. And in all of that, I was making about $100,000 a year, but I had 6 children now. To survive in the Northeast with a family of 8 costs a whole lot more. Matter of fact, I realized I could get financial aid, which is when the government tells you that you cannot afford to feed yourself. I could get financial aid if I made $73,000 or less in Connecticut. I didn't realize how close I was to bankruptcy, but I knew I was putting more and more on my credit cards, having more and more challenges every year, and I had to figure out something different. And I started looking around, well, what's the number one way to build wealth in the country? Real estate. And once I recognized that, I knew that was the direction I had to go, and I did the deep dive. I started absorbing everything I could in real estate. I actually bought my first course off of the radio of all things, and it was Carlton Sheets.
Ah, yes.
Carlton Sheets CDs is what I got at the time. And oh man, I was so excited. This was the brand new CD set. It cost me a whopping $800 and set my world in motion. Within the first 30 days of getting that course, I got my first property under contract and I was hooked.
Yes.
I recognized what was possible. And I'm going to talk about some of the techniques and strategies I used early on to just get going and get in the game. Only I got into it for need base. So for all of you, just have a whole lot of kids and you'll be just fine. That's what's going to motivate you. However, the reality is you want something different in your world. You want abundance in your life. You want to create something more. Real estate is the easiest vehicle to get into. There's so many different techniques and strategies to get involved in it, which means it's an opportunity for anybody and everybody. And what you need to do is sharpen your axe, is to really sharpen your skill sets on how to make more money on every deal, how to create more deals in your world, and how to do it over and over and over again with consistent, persistent behavior. And that's what I ended up doing to change my world. That was 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm fascinated by the human mind and what separates people that dream about doing what you do and what I do from the ones that actually do it. And, I have my own theories, but I'd like to understand what separates the folks that get it done from the ones that dream about getting it done.
Absolutely motivation. I was motivated by the need base. I had 6 children looking at me saying, hey, I want to be fed.
Right.
I also got this inner understanding that I could do more, I could be better, that I was playing small because of my own fears, my blocks, my anxieties, and that there was a greater potential for me to fulfill. And so that got me understanding, well, I could, so why aren't I? And what's it going to take to make the difference? And so one is that desire. Two is I got rid of that safety net. The kids created that for me, if you will. I didn't have a job. I had to create my own way. And there was a need base there. Ultimately, people get into a comfort zone, if you will, a complacency because of lack of a absolute need. Well, if I don't go get a deal, I'll still have the roof over my head. I'll still feed my family. I'll be okay. I learned to turn up the thermostat so that okay wasn't good enough, that I wanted to be great. And one of the things I keep in mind is that I was given certain talents, and those talents are wasted unless I live up to my fullest potential. And when I waste my talents, that's a sin. And I got really clear that for me, how could I possibly waste the talents I had for myself and my family, let alone society as a whole? So that huge desire turned up that thermostat, got really clear. And then what's my commitment to make it all happen? People put down their resolutions, if you will, at New Year's.
That time of year.
That resolution time, right? They put their goals, their dreams, their resolution. Well, I'm going to do all this in the new year. And then statistically, like 90% fall out within the first month.
Right.
Incredible. What makes the difference is, and I want everybody listening to this to do this, you have all your goals, all your targets, if you will. On a scale of 1 to 10, next to each line item even, what's your commitment level to making it happen? On a scale of 1 to 10, are you willing to do, a 10 being whatever it takes, you're never, ever, ever stopping until that thing is achieved? You say you're going to do it within the year. Well, you're just going to keep going until that gets done, period, and never, ever, ever stop. And that kind of commitment level changes everything. Most people think that they put a commitment level of a 7, an 8, a 9, even a 9.5, and it's going to be good enough.
No such thing.
You got to go the distance, because even a 9.5, there's going to be something. There's something out there that is going to be the obstacle in your way. There's going to be the block, the angst, if you will, in your world that you go, yeah. Well, I would have done it, but, and this thing shows up. Whether it's, I had to work on a weekend, or my kid's recital was that day, I couldn't miss that. Or I had one guy who missed a huge opportunity because, well, it was his 1-year anniversary with his second wife and couldn't possibly take advantage of the opportunity because he had to be home that day. I went, but you could create a whole new world for your wife and for yourself and your future. You celebrate tomorrow, not today. Wouldn't that make a difference? Only he wasn't willing to do whatever it takes. His commitment level wasn't at a level 10.
Right.
Get clear, level 10 or bust. And so unless with every line item, you can honestly put down a level 10, change it. Now, either change your commitment or change your goal. But you got to change something so that every line item, it has a level 10 as your commitment. And then you get in the game. Then you start processing. Then you start planning and create the day-to-day routines that will make that happen. And the end of the game is that difference between an 8 or a 9 and a 10 will make all the difference in the world on where you end up.
Wow. So true. So true. One of my favorite stories is the story of Cortez, right? When he came to the New World, he ordered his men to burn the boats and found that they were all highly motivated to make it work here in the New World.
Burn the boats. Yeah, with that story, basically they were a firm believer in dying on their homeland.
Yeah.
And how that was a religious component as well. And so they had a choice, either die on foreign land or win the battle to grab the other person's boats to be able to go home.
Right.
That was it.
Those
were your only choices that were left. And what a huge and a great metaphor for our day-to-day routine. Man, burn the boats. What's your safety net that you have still existing in your world that's keeping you from playing full out, from being your fullest potential, from creating everything you want in your world? What is that safety net that's keeping you from doing that? Is it the boat that's still sitting there docked, ready for you to jump on and retreat? That's the question at hand. And that really makes the difference.
Commit, decide and commit, and then go do it.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. Buying investment real estate is both thrilling and sometimes stressful. Without a lending expert by your side, most investors don't stand a chance. That's where CTREIA funding comes in. CTREIA funding was founded by investors to help investors just like you fund their deals. Whether you're buying a single-family rehab, an apartment building, or really any investment property, our team will understand your deal and help you close quickly. Go to CTREIAfunding.com or call us at 860-876-0572. So, you've been a mentor to me and a whole bunch of other people across the country. I'm curious, your mentors, what was the best advice you ever got and who gave it to you?
Oh, gosh. I've gotten so much advice. I would not be here if it wasn't for great mentors and coaches. Everything I have in my world right now, I attribute to hiring, paying, and I specifically say paying for amazing coaches and mentors at a deep level. Yeah. And everything I have is because of that. And I really created my world over the last 15, 20 years due to getting really clear with that and going deep with all my mentors and coaches. That being said, one of my first mentors, without knowing necessarily what a mentor was at the time, was my grandmother. And both my grandparents were just amazing achievers, highly spiritual people, and just really clear with who they were and what they wanted out of life. And my grandmother had severe arthritis. And with severe arthritis, your bones, basically, the joints just crumble over time. And so she was in her 80s and she would go to doctor's visits and see a new doctor, and they'd send all the x-rays of her before she got there. And then she'd walk into the visit. And the doctors were always amazed, expecting her to be in a wheelchair and crippled. And they'd ask her, how did she do that? Like, how did she end up walking in? Like, in amazement, they would ask, like, how are you accomplishing this? And my whole life, I remember her saying, I just put one foot in front of the other.
Right.
Just keep on going. And she played full out. She walked her talk, and she walked basically till the day she died, just by putting one foot in front of the other. And I think about that with any struggle, any pain, anything that you feel is the block in your world. Keep moving forward and keep putting one foot in front of the other and watch what happens.
Wow. Profound, really. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you have a bias towards action and just making incremental choices and incremental progress day after day after day.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it. And it's amazing what you do that every day, every month, every year, every decade. And it's amazing where you're going to be today versus 5-10 years from now, just by doing that one thing.
The biggest challenge is that people don't start, that they don't start that journey, if you will. Right. And I think back, I'm able to accomplish so much now, and I've accomplished abundance, created abundance for my wife, my children, as well as all the people that I've joint ventured with, that I've mentored, that I coach, and I coach people all around the world. In that fashion, I've changed the lives of millions of people, all because I started the journey 15, 20 years ago and just started putting one foot in front of the other. And so often people look at it like, oh my gosh, you're asking for 5 years, which I talk about a lot. Give me 5 years, I'll give you the rest of your life. And I say 5 years and they go, oh, no, I want it today.
Yeah.
but then they put off starting because they're looking for the easy answer. They're looking for the magic pill rather than understanding how to absorb information, apply the information, and get going one foot in front of the other. And all of a sudden you have the life of your dreams 5, 10, 15 years from now. And you're still young. You're still able to enjoy it. You're still able to create so much in your world. And you got to start the journey.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that, because I tell people all the time when I'm working with the folks that I mentor, and I tell people quite honestly, and it's a bit of a vulnerable, embarrassing moment for me, but I tell people that I read Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad in '08, right? It's one of the Bibles. And, right. But it took me 3 years to get the courage to actually act upon the things and the tools and techniques that I learned in that book and others related to it, right? It was fear. That was it.
Only 3 years? I read Anthony Robbins' material back when I was in my 20s. Yeah. It really wasn't until I was in my mid-30s to 40 that I really activated and created the world I have now. It only took you 3 years? Major applause.
Applause. It's a work in progress, right? And it's interesting. Somebody asked me, at what point are you going to retire? And I thought about it for 30 seconds. I said, never. Why? I'm enjoying what I do. This isn't work. I get excited to come to work every day and have a deep and broad and profound impact on the people I work with, the people that we help, the people that we buy properties from, and frankly, the families we sell them to.
Yeah. Yeah. People miss that, especially when they're still in corporate America, when they're still in a job, is that they believe that retirement is a thing that should be in your future because they don't like what they do, and they're prayerful that retirement means that they get to now do what they love, right? Or do something that they enjoy. Whereas for entrepreneurs like you and I, we're already doing what we love. I will do this for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
And for me, this is communicating, coaching, training, real estate deals, opportunities. It's play. It's like playing Monopoly for me every day.
Right. Literally.
Literally. It's the excitement that I get from that it's not work. And it's what I would do regardless of the money. I've built an abundant life, and past there, this is what I love, and I'll keep doing it forever.
Amazing. Amazing. So I mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm curious, leaders or readers? And I know you are a person who consumes information and data on a massive scale. What kind of books are on your nightstand, and what are you reading these days?
I always read nonfiction. Yep. Some people feel, you really should read fiction. That I almost exclusively, if not exclusively in my whole life, it's been nonfiction books, absorbing the theories, the philosophies, the systems, processes that other people, the strategies that other people have created and are sharing on how they applied it in their life, their twist on it, their turn on it, if you will, their slant, and reading their voice. And I've got one of the best business libraries on personal development, which I started as a psychology major, went on and specialized in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, also a huge in business strategies and systems, sales process, and of course, negotiations, where I'm going to be talking to you and all the crew about. Yep. The book right now, I'm reading Rocket Fuel, which is a great book on really how to engage with a team of people, if you will, and really excel your business strategies. Like I said, I'm usually reading multiple books at a time. Read an interesting book, and I start communicating this with you, is negotiations on a really interesting, intricate level from a police detective's point of view. I'm reading a book that police detectives are given to study as they learn interrogation techniques, which is negotiations at a really high level. How do you know when someone's lying? Instantly. With the words that they're saying, with the twitch of an eye, with the body language that they're utilizing, with the pacing of their communications, the shift of their breathing, the shift of their heart rate, all these things are techniques and strategies where you learn what's going on with the other side, kind of putting yourself in their shoes for a moment, and then you know exactly where to bring the conversation. And you know what's going on inside their head. Fascinating. All part of kind of that negotiation conversation, if you will.
Interesting. I'm going to get the title of that book from you when I see you next week. Speaking of next week, negotiation mastery. We touched on it a little bit earlier in the conversation, but in terms of what our members are going to hear about and the takeaways, those golden nuggets that you're going to drop, can you give us a preview of what that's all about?
Yeah. I wrote a book on my top 50 negotiation strategies, and I'm going to be picking a handful of those to go into detail with them about how I've utilized negotiation techniques, how you can stack and dovetail these techniques with one another to create more magnitude of shift, and how every stage of the real estate process, you can go into that process with a specific or a couple different techniques and strategies and change the game entirely in your favor to the tune of thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in your favor, just because of the words that you choose, because of how you approach the situation, exactly what technique you're going to grab hold of in your arsenal. And I always look at my arsenal as kind of like Batman with his utility belt.
Right.
Here you've got, imagine 50 different tools on your utility belt, and you can use them based on who's in front of you. Batman always had the right tool for the right enemy in front of him. Right. And that's kind of what negotiation strategies can be for you. As you walk into the scenario, knowing which one to choose the effective one and create a change instantly with what you do.
Interesting.
That's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, well, great. Just as a reminder, we're going to be in Rocky Hill at 6 p.m. on Monday, the 17th. We are going to be in Bridgeport at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 18th. And then Paul, the Maverick Millionaire, and all his big brain power is going to be at the CTREIA Training Center on Saturday, the 22nd, starting at 9 a.m. So, Paul, I'm just curious. I know you work a lot and you travel the world coaching and mentoring your students and colleagues. When you're not doing that, what do you do for fun?
We already discussed this. This is my fun.
Yeah.
This is what I love.
This is it.
Now, that being said, I do work with my wife, which is by design, so that my fun when I'm working and coaching and traveling around the world is that my wife's next to me. And so we go to just glorious restaurants, hang out and eat and drink and enjoy conversation all around the world. I also love adventure and doing different crazy things. We just posted last month, we had an opportunity to drive some tanks over some cars. And I don't know whether you've done anything
really
as crazy as that. It was so much fun. And so, yeah, we literally drove a tank over a real car and crushed it. It was so much fun.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
And we jump off stratospheres, zip lines, ATVs, just adventure sports, if you will.
Yep.
And really enjoying life with people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the equation across the board.
Awesome. So, Paul, obviously, we're encouraging everybody listening to come meet you and shake your hand next Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. However, if they're not able to make it, how else can they get in touch with you?
Join me at themaverickuniverse.com, themaverickuniverse.com, or search Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire. Search me, Google me. I am everywhere. So Great. You can find me pretty readily.
Well, hey, Paul, thank you so much for your time today. I'm really fired up to see you next week. And thank you again for being willing to meet with our members and giving them your insights and your experiences. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's going to be a pleasure. Can't wait.
All right, same. Can't wait.
This has been the Real Estate Underground Podcast, a CTREIA presentation. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. If there's a specific topic you want us to cover, post it in the comments. For more information on the Real Estate Underground Podcast or CTREIA, go to realestateundergroundpodcast.com or ctreia.com. Until next time, happy investing.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.